Welcome to the training on emotional prickles to magically magnificent. The 5 key steps you need to know to break free from unhealthy emotional cycles. Now, my promise to you is that by the end of this training, you're going to be willing to get out those magnifying glasses and the tweezers and start pulling out your prickles yourself. Because here's the thing, when it comes to dealing with our emotional prickles, societal beliefs are a bit stuffed up. There's this belief that we have to harden up and build a wall around our emotions and that they can be healed with good vibes. It doesn't stop Grumpy Cat from being Grumpy Cat, no matter how much he's vibrating with love and light. And we also think that if you ignore them, they're just going to go away. But here's the thing, you don't really want to harden up and you don't want to get stuck on this good vibe bandwagon and you don't want to ignore them either. What you really want is self-control level expert. So by the time we are done in this training, you are going to feel so much more confident, especially enough to pick up those tweezers and start pulling out your emotional prickles one by one. And I know you're cautiously optimistic, but mostly cautious, because this is a free training and you're going, why would you give me so much information just in this? Now look, I can make this promise because what I'm about to teach you, I didn't just learn it, I lived this. This process worked for me, and when I wrote it down, it worked for others too. And I've had such amazing feedback of this methodology, including such things as this has become a new spiritual awakening for women, which is so awesome to hear. Now, my own journey of prickle pulling started in 2018, and what you see there is a pretty common picture on my social media account from that time of my life. And for me, that was normal. This was me showing success. But success at that point in time was working 24 hours, multiple coffees during the night, trying to get work done. And I knew there had to be a better way, and there had to be a way that wasn't leaving me so drained and ending up in these cycles of emotional outbursts and breakdown. So in 2019, I went on that journey of pulling out my prickles one by one. And as I say, the eyes are the windows to the soul. So by 2020, you could physically see the difference that this journey of prickle pulling had on me. It wasn't just an internal, mental, emotional thing. It had a very physical application in my life as well. And here's the thing, my life didn't stop while I was pulling out those prickles. So while I was doing this work, addressing my emotions, pulling out the magnifying glass and tweezers, I was still helping my family by watching my nephew. We were in the height of COVID at that time here in Australia, so we were homeschooling. I was looking after kittens, still trying to get my meditation and journaling time in. I was renovating my garden, trying to teach some gardening tips to my daughter, who is still learning. And I was also supporting my sister, who brought an extremely preemie baby into the world, in my gorgeous little niece, Penny. And while I was going through all this and pulling out my prickles, I too thought I needed to build a stronger wall. But it didn't really work because I just stopped feeling anything at all. It was like this blanket of numbness just swept over my life. And I thought I could fix it then with mantras and affirmations, because positivity. But no matter how many times I wrote something down or said those affirmations to myself, nothing changed emotionally. So I thought maybe it was just me. Maybe I just needed to ignore them and they would go away. But here's the thing, I kept living the same cycles over and over again. Those prickles, those emotional prickles, refused to be ignored. And I always found them if I stood on them the wrong way. And here's the thing, none of it worked because I was avoiding the one thing I really had to do. I had to work on and develop my emotional intelligence. Now I know it's a big word, it doesn't make a lot of sense up front, so let me explain. Emotional intelligence, from my own understanding and my own experiences, is the ability to respond to life and your internal world in a healthy and sustainable way. So to simplify, emotional intelligence is our respond ability to life and ourselves. So if you get nothing else from the training today and you need to jump ship early, please remember this, that your emotional intelligence is your respond ability to life and your internal world. Because here's the thing, the problem is everyone is teaching positivity as the solution to responding to your emotions. And as we said earlier, that positivity doesn't work. It's like the school nurse here saying, put a Band-Aid on it, you'll be fine. But until that arrow is pulled out and that knife is pulled out and maybe some additional work is done, will that Band-Aid work? Because that Band-Aid is doing nothing for the underlying problem. What you actually need to do is take self-responsibility for your respond ability and pull those prickles out permanently. But how? How do we do this? You can get stuck in counseling for many, many years, or you can go on the journey to self-empowerment and work through your stages of self. But what does this look like? It looks like acknowledging the truth at the heart of your prickles. It's about knowing how to move past them without making them fester even more. It's about finding the strength to rip off that Band-Aid solution you've used so far. It's about allowing your intuition to guide those tweezers, and it's claiming your magic, your essence, to move forward in life prickle free. Because let's face it, we all want to be prickle free. So are we ready? Let's get to work. So to acknowledge the truth at the heart of your prickles, we need to look at the first stage of self, which is your inner princess. Now, the inner princess, here's what you need to know about her. We all have her, and above all else, she values the freedom to make her own choices. It is her primary need in life. And if you look at any teenage girl, this is what she wants. She wants the freedom to make her own choices. But what happens when those choices are restricted or denied? That teenager, that inner princess, becomes rebellious and in the process fearful of life itself. And one thing to note here, that the rebellion can happen in two ways depending on whether you're introverted or extroverted. The introverted people will rebel in the way of becoming the good girl, the people pleaser, putting their needs second to everybody else. Whereas the extroverted rebellious princess, she is the one who usually turns to the goth. She is the one who then throws her emotions at everybody else, who screams and yells and throws tantrums. So just remember, there is two ways that freedom, that restriction of freedom of choice can manifest as a prickle. But what do we do about it? If you know this prickle is there, how do we move past it? How do we use the tweezers to pull it out? We have to see the fear. Above all else, that fear needs to be acknowledged, not run away from, not hidden from. It needs to be seen. So step one is to see the fear. Now, the next part we're going to look at is moving past the prickles without making them fester. Now, I love this meme that goes with it. Now, what you need to know about your inner mother goddess, so this is another archetype that is within you, is that your inner mother goddess is the nurturer within you. She's compassionate, she's kind, she's caring, and she needs to be loved. She needs to give love and be loved in return. So it's like a waterfall of love and affection coming from her right at you. But what happens if you choose to reject that love, or she rejects that love for herself? You see, when that fear is not addressed from the princess, the mother can't love herself. And then she ends up in this place of unforgiveness. Unforgiveness for not loving herself for this fear in the first place. Which means the second step we have to do to remove those emotional prickles is to forgive the fear in the first place. Now, the next step, we are looking at finding the strength to rip off that Band-Aid solution. Now, the Band-Aid solution fits with our third stage of self, which is our wild woman, and she is our inner strength. And what you need to know is, above all else, she wants to be strong, safe, and self-reliant. And I absolutely love this saying that strong women don't have attitude, they have standards and boundaries. And that to me is the epitome of the wild woman. But like all of them so far, there's a prickle. If she's found herself in times where she's not feeling strong, safe, or resilient, they're the times she loses self-belief. And if she has no self-belief, there is no self-reliance. So to remove this prickle, we then have to address self-belief. So we've seen the fear, we've forgiven the fear, and now it's time to address self-belief. It's that those conversations with ourselves, I can do this, I am strong, I am resilient, I am powerful. That is when the affirmations can help once we have moved through those first two steps. Now, our fourth stage of self is where we're looking at allowing your intuition to guide those tweezers, because we are looking at your inner queen. I like to call her the dark queen, because to find her, you have to venture into the dark within yourself. And I just love this meme. I'm a very cat person. So what you need to know is that your inner dark queen, she is the heart of your intuition. But above all else, she wants to be worthy of those things she wants for herself. So she's got this intuition guiding her and telling her things, but she wants to be worthy of what this thing is telling her that is coming for her in the future. But the prickle is, if she doesn't feel worthy of getting or having those things, she loses trust in that vision. She loses trust in her intuition. And like Daria, if you remember the old cartoon Daria, no life, no hope, no future, which is the essence of this emotional prickle within us. So that means stage 4 is that we have to connect with this future vision. We have to see the future possibilities that could be presented to us. And then our final stage of self, our 5th archetype, this is where we look at our inner sorceress. This is where you claim your magic to move forward prickle free. And here's the thing. She is the final stage of self. She wants to live in the flow of magic, and she wants to take purposeful action towards her dream. And we all know the song, Let It Go. And yes, this is a poor meme to use considering what it's tied to, but it's the same principle. That final stage of self wants to live life in the flow of magic. But the prickle is, she needs intention and action steps in order to move forward. Or she ends up erratic and floaty, ungrounded, not sure of where she's going. It's like she has no plan to move forward towards that goal that her inner queen has told her is there. Which means we need to set our steps. So to recap that all, when it comes to removing these emotional prickles, we need to ask the right questions. And please feel free to screenshot this one, because here are the questions you need to ask yourself. Where is your fear holding you back in this moment with this emotional prickle? Where have you not forgiven yourself for this fear to be present? Maybe it's something that happened in your childhood that you haven't forgiven yourself for, which is bringing the fear forward to now. Then we have to ask, what does the strongest version of myself believe I am capable of? Then we look at, what do I see in my future that this fear has been blocking? What is the highest possible outcome that is sitting in front of me right now? And then we look at, what steps do I need to take in order to bring this into reality? And here's the thing, and the most beautiful part about this is that by looking at these questions, we're not putting ourselves back in the situation and getting stuck in the emotion of that time. We can look at it very compartmentalized, very intellectually, and say, yes, I was scared in that moment. I haven't forgiven myself for being scared, but I know I can move through it if it should happen again, because in the future I see I am capable of this, and these are the steps I'm going to take. But here's the thing, it is a layered cycle. It takes practice to move through it, and this is just the beginning. It is just one of the layers of moving through your stages of self, which is why I've put together a free training on how to cycle through your stages of self in all its layers. Now, from this particular course, you're going to step into a new sense of emotional self-awareness. Truly and radically love all of who you are as well. You're going to feel more empowered to step forward in life, business, or career, and you're going to develop a strong foundation of true emotional control. But more than that, you're going to discover the magical potential within you. And what's included is 7 core videos to help you understand how these cycles play out, tools and downloads and exercises to help you move through it, forever access so you can go at your own pace, plus a community of women who are working on their stages of self just like you. Now, I know you're scratching your head going, yeah, but if you're good at something, you don't do it for free, so what's the catch here? Why aren't you charging for it? I am not charging for it because I don't believe in that. I don't believe that if you're so good in something that you should hide it behind a paywall. Because I want you to imagine something right now, and I mean really think about this. If women knew they were not alone in how they felt, how would that affect the alarmingly high rates of generalized depression and anxiety amongst women right now? And if women knew there was nothing wrong with them, how would this affect the rates of alcoholism and emotional abuse against women? And if women knew what they were experiencing with their emotions was normal, how would this affect the number of women stepping up to unleash their magic and in the process, changing the world for the better? Now, I don't have a definitive answer here, but I know I have something that works and that in turn can make the world better. So who am I to hold it back and hide it behind a paywall? So this is why the free training of how to cycle through your stages of self is the way it is. And you can get it now at mellys.com.au, and I would love to see you in the training and helping you move through your own stages of self.